Hello everyone. This is our last chapter on last part of chapter 2. We will discuss in this chapter about Ram Krishna Mission, number 1, Theosophical Society, number 2, and Muslim reform movements in India. So that would be our last part of the video. Now, see, if we begin with Ram Krishna Mission, then we can say that this particular mission was established as a religious organization, but it had a great impact on Indian society and Indian polity. Okay, so who was the founder? Then we can say that Ram Krishna Mission was particularly founded by Swami Ram Krishna Paramhans. Okay, he was also the founder of Ram Krishna Order of Monks, and he was also the spiritual founder of Ram Krishna Movement, and not Ram Krishna Mission, obviously. Spiritual founder rather of Ram Krishna Mission. Now, this spiritual leader named Swami Ram Krishna Paramhans, he preached that different religions are different paths towards a single destination. Okay, the single destination is maybe salvation. Okay, or to achieve God, or to have a meaningful life, and so on and so forth. So that was the preaching of Swami Ramakrishna Paramhans, and that is why he is known as spiritual leader of Ramakrishna Mission, and he founded Ramakrishna Order of Monks. Now, Swami Vivekananda was his disciple. Okay, and he was bit different from Ramakrishna Paramhans, although he carry forward the legacy of Ramakrishna Paramhans. Okay, but his ideas on social reform movements in India and religious practices in India and cultural stuff is quite different from those of Ramakrishna Paramhans. Okay, what he said? He said that every Indian should refrain himself or herself from copying the culture of the West. So he is against the Western culture, okay, and not Western education and all these things, but against culture, Western culture. And what he wanted that Indian should believe their culture, and Indians should also trust their culture. They should feel proud of their culture, and if anything wrong if there is any ill practices, for example casteism or gender issue, patriarchy, sati tradition, or conservatism, traditionalism among various sects of Hindu religion. So he wanted the removal of all the ill practices which was not in the religious text but in the practice, in the life of many Hindus. So what he wanted, that all Indians must refrain from Western culture, but they should believe in their own culture, number one, and whatever ill practices we had in our culture, Swami Ramakrishna Paramhans wanted the complete removal of that particular ill practices and so on and so forth. So to attain this goal of cultural self-respect, and to remove various conservatism, various ill practices, various traditionalism and so on and so forth from Hindu society, he founded Ram Krishna Mission in 1897. Now, through this, he tried to restore the pride of the place of Hinduism in India, which was obviously struggling to find its feet in the light of Western onslaught. Okay, what was the Western onslaught? We have discussed in our previous videos: modern education system, modernity, logic versus emotions. Western culture was more advanced than our culture. It was general belief. So many ill practices among Hinduism, which made us conservative, non-democratic, and so on and so forth. So he simply found this particular movement to restore the pride of Hindus. Okay, so that was his mission, and he preached his philosophy of Vedanta throughout the world. Vedanta is a branch of Hindu religion. Okay. Now, he tried to provide new vigor, number one, to pride. Number three, direction to the society and religion through his teaching. Okay. Number one, vigor. Number two, pride. And number three, direction. Why? To attain the goal which make us or make Hindu religion completely free from ill practices, from conservatism, from old values which had no relevancy, and so on and so forth. We must also remember in 1892 his great oratory, okay, where he preached about the purity and rationality of Vedanta, and this earned him a worldwide fame. The theory of Vedanta, which he preached in 1892 Chicago World Religious Conference. So that philosophy of Vedanta gave him the worldwide fame. And people from many parts of the world recognized and started realizing the various positive aspects of Hinduism through with the preachings of Vivekananda. And many people from Western society, Western culture came to India to become his disciple, to learn spirituality, to learn Indian culture, and so on and so forth. They joined Ram Krishna Mission. So, what was the aim of his teaching? His aim of the teaching was directed to educate people, so that they can feel pride of their religion, of their own culture, to preserve their civilization, while comparing Indian civilization with those of Western civilization, he found that no, Western civilization was entirely based on consumerism, and Indian society was not based on consumerism. Indian society was based on values, was based on morality, and that is why we have to teach the world to be moral and to be value added persons or value added citizens, are not value free individual. So he cautious Indian society and Indian people that we must not blindly follow Western civilization, because it carries very sometimes very negative things with it. And we must also not feel ashamed of our own culture in the light of Western civilization, because there are so many things which are positive in our culture and which are not found in Western culture. He did not criticize to take modern education provided by Great Britain, okay? And he also did not oppose the new means of production and new means of job or work, okay? He supported it, but he said that we must not forget our cultural and moral values. That is the backbone of Indian society. Since the circumstances are changed, since we have a new system under British regime, so development can only be attained by changing the needs of the time. If you do not change yourself according to time, that particular time will teach you that you are doing actually wrong. This was the idea of Vivekananda. So he supported the modern education system, and he also supported the modern means of production and job and so on and so forth. But he urged all Indians not to shed their spirituality, their moral values or moral teachings, and their social values in particular. Okay, and he taught it through his philosophy of Vedanta. He also believed in the oneness of all religion, Vivekananda, and he taught this through his Ram Krishna Mission. Okay, he promoted Vedanta philosophy, we all know, which he considered the most rational system. According to him, Vedanta philosophy was the most rational system. The principal feature of Vivekananda's social philosophy was his insistence on the upliftment of the masses. Okay, and for him, services of the poor and downtrodden section of the society was the highest religion. Okay, and his Ramakrishna Mission was very active in doing all these things, social and religious, at social and religious level. Now, this is the last paragraph, he gave the message of self-reliance and self-confidence to the Indians, okay, which were lacking after the arrival of British in India. So it was Vivekananda who gave a kind of, or who taught, or who preached a kind of self-reliance and self-confidence for the Indian people. And his teaching, more particularly, generated a new kind of lease of life among the people of this country. Okay, he gave a call to all the Indians to eradicate all differences based on caste, community, untouchability, gender, ill social practices, or conservative religious practices, or traditionalism, and so on and so forth. And also he equated services of the poor and destitute to them service of God. Okay, now if you serve a poor, it means you are serving God. This was his vision for India, and to develop India as a modern state and modern nation. So this was his idea. Number 2 is Theosophical Society. See, the Theosophical Society was formed in New York City, okay, United States, obviously, in 1875. There were some people who were involved in establishment of this. Alcott was there. The society headquarter was established in India in 1882. See, it was established in US in 1875, and its headquarter was established in India in 1882. Now, Mrs. Annie Besant was the main person who popularized the Theosophical Society throughout the length and breadth of India. She won the support of large section of the people, okay, including orthodox Brahmins. See, this was the impact of Theosophical Society. Even orthodox Brahmins became the part of Theosophical Society. Why? Because of his knowledge on the Indian philosophy, and Annie Besant presented the real philosophy, the real Indian philosophy among the body politic of the masses, and that is why Theosophical Society got a mass appeal and became very popular during the entire period of 19th century India. Annie Besant promoted through Theosophical Society the concept of universal brotherhood in India. And obviously, if someone is talking about something which is universal, it will attract many. And Theosophical Society was no exception to this. And many people mobilized or supported or started supporting Theosophical Society. She also translated Gita, wrote short commentaries on Mahabharata and Ramayana. So she was very much involved in writing, in preaching, and also in translating various religious texts, which was most popular among Indians. This Theosophical Society also established various schools and colleges throughout India. Annie Besant in 1898 founded the Central Hindu School and College in Banaras, and which is contemporary Varanasi. She also opened various schools for girls to have education for women. This Theosophical Society particularly focused on gender issue and performed various functions for the upliftment of women in India and pleaded for radical changes in the social condition of women in India. Theosophical Society also opposed child marriages, issue of widow remarriage, untouchability, and other existing social and religious ill practices which was prevalent among various sects or among Hindus of India. So that Theosophical Society was particularly a religious reform movement and a social reform movement. Religious reform movement it actually opposed caste system, it opposed various ill practices or conservatism based on gender. It opened various schools for lower caste, for all the citizen of India without making any discrimination based on caste, religion, region, and so on and so forth. And it taught us to be one. Okay, that is the contribution of Theosophical Society in British India. Last is the Muslim Reform Movement. See, when we talk about Muslim Reform movements, there were many organizations came into existence during pre-independence period. For example, Anjum-e-Islami or Mohammedan Association, which was established in 1855 by Muhammad Abdur Rauf. Then Muhammad Literary Society, 1863 by Abdul Latif Khan. National Mohammedan Association, which later known as Central National Mohammedan Association, 1877. Sir Syed Amir Ali, it was established by Sir Syed Amir Ali. and the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, it is 1877 at Aligarh, which later became as this particular Anglo-Oriental College became the Aligarh Muslim University, which we know it today. Now, these primary Muslim organizations' attention was on competition with the Hindus. Why? Because Hindus adopted the modern education system so early, and they got various types of jobs in the new economic system. While on the other hand, British were opposed, the Muslims were opposed to the new and modern education system, considering it as against their religion or attack on their religion, and so they did not get any chance to be in the new economic structure. So we saw the development of educated and economic middle class among Hindus, and simultaneously we had feudal middle class among Muslims. So that was the prime reason that many Muslim social reformers started believing that Muslims should adopt the modern education system, and Muslims should also accept various means to be able to compete with the Hindus in the new system. Because if we fail to acknowledge the British education system, which is now changing, or if we do not accept the modern education system, then what would be the situation? The situation would be Muslim would be far away as far as development, social, religious or economic is concerned from any other community of India. So we will begin with the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, because the movement was not that much had a deep impact on India, but Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's Anglo-Oriental establishment of Anglo-Oriental College in 1877 was a pioneer effort for the reform among Muslims and to change the psychology of Muslims from being traditionalist and conservative to have a modern new look, to be fit for the modern education system without changing their own religious practices, their own values, religious values or social values. Whatever their religion allowed, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan supported all these ideas, and so he supported the idea of modern education system and appealed Muslims to have good jobs or to compete with Hindus in the new economic order. Now, except all these, there were other movements in 19th century as well. That is Wahhabi movement, number one, Aligarh movement, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and Ahmadiyya movement. Now, if we see that Syed Ahmad of Bareilly and Ismail Haji Maulvi Muhammad, these two were the main leaders of Wahhabi movement in India. The movement stressed on the purity and unity of Islam. Since the movement was an orthodox movement, it could not achieve the desired success. Why? Because the Wahhabi movement wanted to replace the Britishers from India to have their own regime, to have their own rulers, without modernizing the Muslim community. Their emphasis entirely was on political goal and religious stuff, But Wahhabis simply did not failed rather to convince Muslims that why do we need these two things in contemporary era, and to reply this why, they have to have modern education system to understand the complex nature of colonial administration, to convince the fellow religionist about why do we need to replace Britishers. Okay, so although it was an orthodox movement, but it did not get a mass appeal because Muslims were not ready for orthodoxy. Now, after this, the Aligarh movement, which we discussed various part, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan stressed on learning of English language and modern sciences, that all Muslims should learn English and modern sciences with Urdu, Arabic, Persian, and so on and so forth. They have to also include these two in their syllabus. One is modern education system, second is modern sciences. And also why he is saying this, because he recognized the critical role of education for the empowerment of the poor and backward Muslim community. Without education, Muslim community cannot see the rise. Okay, so he stressed on modern education system among Muslim communities. He started various schools for Muslim communities for their education in various languages, but he make it permanent to learn English and modern science. He also established Scientific Society in 1863, okay, to create scientific temperament among Muslims and to make Western knowledge available to them in their own language. Some study with Persian, some study with Urdu, some study with some other language. So, modern education system in their own language. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan tried to do that much effort to make Muslim fit for the new British oriented education system and British oriented economic system. Then we discussed in 1877 he established Anglo-Oriental College, which later became the Aligarh Muslim University. Now, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, there is no doubt about it, felt that isolation would harm the Muslim community. So, Muslim community should not live in isolation, and to prevent Muslim community, he gave so many progressive ideas and so many new ideas to the Muslim community, and he appealed that there is no need to oppose Britishers in such a circumstances. Rather, we must accept the British education system and the British economic system and try to adjust in the new social and economic and political order, and we must understand the new and modern Western scientific knowledge and culture without leaving our own knowledge and culture. And thus, to modernize Muslim society was his first task, and he got success as well. The last is Ahmadiyya movement. It was started by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadani. The Ahmadiyyas emphasized the belief that Islam is the final dispensation of humanity as revealed to Prophet Muhammad, and it is essential to restore it to its true essence and pristine from which had been lost through centuries. It was a movement towards revitalization of Islam in India. Again, this movement failed to appeal many Muslim communities because it failed to reply so many questions. And people, Muslims rather, attracted towards Sir Syed Ahmad Khan more, and the rest of the movement did not find any place in India. So we have discussed so far our chapter 2, and the next videos would be for Hindi medium students. Okay, so please listen this video, and we can have discussion on it. Thank you very much.